Welcome to another episode of Career Channels, of the podcast of CareerSource North Florida. And today I have joining me two esteemed colleagues. I have Ms. Trish Yon, who is the Senior Director of Business Solutions at CareerSource Capital Region over in Tallahassee. And joining us is Ms. Melissa Terbergen, the Vice President of Economic Development for CareerSource Northeast Florida in Jacksonville. So they're kind of my two neighbors and on either side. And we are all heavily involved with economic development and business services in our regions. So I just kind of want to take a second to introduce what employer services is to our listeners and how we work with employers. So and whoever wants to go first, please jump in and tell us what your approach is to business services and serving the customer of the workforce system.
So our approach in the capital region is we are, like a lot of regions, we are industry sector based, and we have 4 industry clusters here. We work primarily, but we will work with all employers. With employers in the healthcare sector, we have IT professional services as a sector, and government. Being in the state capital, that's obviously a big sector for us. We have manufacturing, construction, transportation, logistics is one of our clusters, and then retail, hospitality, and education is our 4th. And we have account managers assigned to each sector. And our job is to help make the employer's life easier when it comes to retaining, training, and finding talent, right? That's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. Melissa, what's the approach that Northeast Florida takes? And is it similar or different to that of Capital Region?
That's a great start. Trish started us off great. That's really our model as well. We are sector driven as well, with very similar industries. So we believe that our mission is in connecting the job seeker to employers who are looking to fill a need. We want to grow job seekers through their career paths. Our goal is to make sure that the employers have what they need to meet the needs of today and in the future. And we do that through direct placement or through training and helping them fill those needs. We know that sometimes that work can be done through serving those direct high profile or in-demand sectors. And sometimes that work is done through the feeder sectors or other support sectors. And so we have a system in place that we have groups that target those areas, and we have a marketing team that goes out and works with those employers. So it's a great system, and a team on the job seeker side alike there to match and to make sure we're fulfilling those job orders.
I love exactly what you said about our services, and our purpose is not to always assist with what the need is today, but for tomorrow, for workforce development. So we're always looking to the future, and that Doug and I have had conversations in the past where I'm like, let me pull out my crystal ball and see what's coming up. But I think that's a great segue into this this endeavor that we're starting on, which is talent pipeline management, which is a curriculum developed through the U.S. Chamber. And I'm going to say some of this wrong because I am really just now kind of learning myself. So we're starting a class to learn how to engage differently the customers of the workforce system. So what made you all want to participate in the talent pipeline management class? I know, Trish, you kind of got an early start. Melissa and I were last minute call ups. So you probably have a little bit more information on kind of how it all started and the seeds of how it's grown into this program, but feel free to discuss.
You may be giving me way more credit than I deserve, Diane, but I will say that we do have an advantage here in the Capital Region because the Greater Tallahassee Chamber has been involved in the talent pipeline management program for several years. They started pre-COVID, and that's kind of how we measure everything these days, right? Pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. So we've been involved with TPM through the local chamber for at least 4 years. And yeah, and this was my first opportunity to be able to attend the TPM Talent Pipeline Management Academy, sponsored through the U.S. Chamber. We've got a wonderful, wonderful working relationship with our local chamber. And even though I have a good basic understanding of TPM, I think I'm going to get an even more in-depth understanding by attending this academy starting in what, a week and a half? Yeah.
I'm excited too, Diane. I think for me, for those of us who've been doing this for years and years and years, it's not that we get stuck in our ways, but we get in routines and we think we've tried everything. So we've done that, we've been there. And so for me, it's just this constant learning. It's like, let's find a new way to try this out. One of the advantages for us is that we have such great partnerships already in place in Northeast Florida. And as we were starting the curriculum and looking at the videos, which I know we've all done at this point through the first couple hours, it dawned on me that, wow, we've have advantages in the state of Florida that some areas don't, or even in this area, because I even noticed other areas don't have some of the partnerships that we have. So knowing that some of the partnerships and that we're already a little bit down the road is really helpful. So it's like knowing that we've got a great head start, and knowing that this provides a platform for us to build the partnerships that are already there, and it gives us new ideas and a new way to continue something that we've already got great momentum on. So I think for me, that's the advantage, and that's what made me want to do it. And these two ladies that I'm on this call with are great partners, and so the idea to collaborate further with great partners in the state is another reason to want to engage in a project like this.
And we actually, all three of us work together in a group called the Workforce Alliance, which is an interesting group with regions in the state of Florida, regions in South Georgia, and it's region 6 in Alabama, which is the Dothan region, because we're all kind of border communities and we work back and forth across state lines very often. And so I think that's another strength that we're bringing to that organization is that, we're building the capacity of the Workforce Alliance through this process too. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
And I just want to add, one of the things that we've been doing since we went to the sector model 7 or 8 years ago is we've been running what we call industry sector rounds. And those are roundtable discussions with our employers and economic development partners and educators to try to find these talent solutions. It's really very closely aligned with TPM, just like Melissa's region is doing Northeast Florida. What we are finding in our area, so like I said, the Tallahassee Chamber has a TPM process in place in 2 separate industries. They are currently focusing on healthcare and IT. So it's almost like we are competing with each other for these employer resources. Everybody on this call, I'm sure, will agree, employers are busy. It's really tough to get them to engage and come to these meetings because they're so busy trying to get things done. And sometimes it's hard to give them the sell about looking down the road because they are so focused on their challenges that they're having right now. I was an employer for 20 years. That's where your focus is, because you have to get the people in the seats now. You have to put the fires out now. And looking 5 years down the road, yes, we want to do it. I just don't have the time to do it. So our biggest hope, and I may be jumping ahead here, but our biggest hope is that we can kind of combine what we are already doing with what the chamber is doing and kind of consolidate our efforts, because we're both putting in a lot of effort. We're reaching a lot of the same employers, but we both have employers that the other doesn't have. So we're speaking locally about the talent pipeline management program to kind of combine our efforts starting probably in July of next year, instead of them doing their thing and us doing our thing. And even though we have a great relationship with each other, we're still doing separate things, and it's not working for our employers, and we need to make things work for our employers.
Absolutely. And being that seamless system of partners is very important. So all of us reading from the same sheet of music, and it does, from what I've seen so far, looks like TPM will do that, and give us all the script to use, so to speak. So we were talking about getting information now to use later, further down the road. We'll help you recruit for tomorrow or for today, but we really want to develop a pipeline of talent to keep feeding your business continuously. The employers being in the feedback loop to tell us how to do that is so vitally important, and we just can't do it without that and us all sharing the information, not keeping score, not having boundaries, and really being true partners. So I'm really looking forward to it for that purpose as well, Trish.
And including the education partners, because it's so important for the education partners to know this is what the businesses are needing, but this is not what you're providing. So we do that in a lot of ways. We do it with our sector rounds. It happens through TPM as well. We also have a Career Pathways Council, but we've got all these segmented things that we're doing, not just CareerSource, Capital Region, but other partners. So we're trying to kind of pull a lot of these things together, because talent pipeline management is exactly what you said, Diane. It's the pipeline for how you're going to feed your business in the future. And economic development is a huge piece in that. And our education partners are a huge piece in that. It's not just the employers. They all have to be involved.
I always say the best day to answer my call would have been 10 years ago, not today. Please answer my call today and we'll start on, a decade from now. But had we had the conversation, the very candid conversation 10 years ago, we may have prevented some of the stuff, the problems of today, right? So just kind of, and I know we're just jumping into the curriculum, just starting out, but just to close us off, do either of you have a favorite strategy so far?
I do not. I do not. So far, I don't. Well, but do you, Diane? Because you asked that, and so I wonder if you do already.
Oh, I always have an answer. I don't ask a question. I don't have an answer, right?
We'd love to know your favorite strategy, Diane.
So it's data driven, and I love a good data sheet, a good spreadsheet. So, strategy 2 with projecting critical job demand, and then and just so you know, I have it up on my other screen. I'm not speaking from memory here. But then there's also a strategy for analyzing talent supply. So the two data sides of supply and demand, that just gets me all in my feels. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I didn't have an answer. I was more like Melissa, where I didn't have a favorite, but I'm just going to jump on your bandwagon, Diane, and say yes, the data pieces, because that's where you can show, here's my cliche for the podcast, right? The proof in the pudding. Where's the data? Show me the data, because that's what people are going to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And as the person responsible for the data in my region, I would probably ultimately at the end of the day agree with you as well. And since I did set through yet another JobsEQ training this week and learn the new data fetch tool, I probably am going to be spending more time doing data related things than I'd like.
So our Sunday in DC, you will have to show me. what you learned, because that's new to me as well. So
More information than you will ever want.
oh wow, exciting. So maybe another podcast on Jobs EQ and what that does for us to come later. And maybe we'll do one at the end of training to see how far we've come and what we've learned. How about that? Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you ladies in DC, and is that next weekend? Yeah.
Sounds
We will see you at the U.S. Chamber office right there across from the White House. Yay. And yeah, it'll be a good time. So thank you both for joining me. I appreciate it. And thank all of our viewers for joining us again for another episode of Career Channels, the podcast of CareerSource North Florida.